Hi guys, it's Steffi, and today I will be showing you guys how to get your digital fashion pieces ready for game engines. Not necessarily game engines, but more so game assets. So we're specifically talking about getting your assets ready for augmented reality or even for virtual worlds. Now, if you guys had watched my previous video of where I presented my digital fashion pieces at Metaverse Fashion Week, you know exactly which pieces I'm talking about. And so we will be going through one of the pieces that I showed at Metaverse Fashion Week, which is this one right here. There are some specific things you guys need to do when you want to get it ready for augmented reality or for these virtual worlds. So let me show you guys how to prep that. Okay, we are in Chloe 3D, and this is the piece here. This is it, not textured at the moment, but we've already built it, and I believe this is the pose that I wanted it to be in. Of course, we've got the patterns on this side, and what is key with this right now, everything, all the textures, or most of them, are just like colors that I've used in Chloe 3D. Now, if we go to UV editor here, you can see it's a mess. My UVs are a mess. So what is really recommended for when you guys want to export to augmented reality formats, or even, I'm talking about GLTF, which you guys can see if you go to Chloe 3D, File, Export, and you will see the options here with the GLB and GLTF. Those are probably one of the most common ones for like game ready assets, or even just seeing your 3D model in 3D on the web, for example. So with that, I highly recommend you get all of your pieces into one UV square. The reason for that is that we want to make sure that all the textures are readable from one UV square, because these programs will only allow you to input one UV map. And usually you can't use UDIMs, unfortunately, but you have to make sure you organize your space so that it all fits into this one UV square. And one UV square is going from 0 to 1 this way and 0 to 1 this way. So one trick that I've learned is that if we want to organize this and actually make them proportionate, one thing you guys can do is just right click in this space and reset UV to 2D arrangement. What that has done is actually reset everything to its original size, so that you want to make sure everything is scaled proportionately, okay? You don't want to, for example, you don't want to scale down this one and then have this one super small and this one super big, because otherwise this one is going to be like high resolution and this one's going to be low resolution in your textures. So you want to keep them all the same. There we go. Okay. And we also want to make them all fit into this. So another trick you can do is highlight all of these, right click, fit UV to 0 to 1. Okay. Now, if you guys have never organized your UVs before, it's pretty simple in Chloe 3D. I'm glad they've actually made it pretty simple. All you gotta do is actually just, make sure everything fits in there nicely. You kind of want to fill up the space, but you don't want anything to overlap. Okay, so a lot of it is just you grab them, you can scale them. I'm holding shift, by the way, whilst I'm doing this. Oh, you don't need to hold shift actually. Forget that. You don't need to hold shift. I've let go of shift. You can just scale it up proportionally like that. Let's move this here. I want to make sure everything's in. And so you're going to spend your time organizing it so that it's nice and neat. And everything, nothing's like overlapping, and everything is within this box. Let's move this here. Now, I've already done this in a separate file, so I'm just going to switch to that. Okay, here is the other file. So let's go to UV editor, and you guys can see here that I've organized it pretty neatly, and it looks good. Okay, so just note that anything you guys are going to label here is going to come out as that name in your textures. So we've got, how many we've got here? 8 textures. Not bad, not bad. So we've gone with that. So with this UV square, we're going to split them into different channels. We're going to use the diffuse channel, the normal, and possibly the roughness, and maybe displacement or the height map. So with this one map, you can make many different maps from it. But just know that in games engines, they usually only just take like one UV square or one UV map. So keep it in one square and you're all good. Now the next thing we want to do is actually export this as an OBJ so that we can get to texturing it, and then we can, after we texture it, we're going to bring it back into Clo3D to sort out the textures. But what we're going to do is go to File, Export, OBJ, you're going to save it, and we should get a pop-up box. Here it is. Right, so I have deselected avatars because I don't want my avatar in it. And thin, you can have it thick if you want to. If you've got any thickness, you can add that in if you want to. Make sure this is ticked, the unified UV coordinates, and I think everything else is okay. So we're going to press OK. Okay, once you're done, you are going to bring your OBJ that you exported into Substance Painter. And now we are in Substance Painter, and this is how I textured it in the end. But I'm going to talk you guys through this because I didn't want to spend too much on texturing in this tutorial. Just want to show you guys how to get the formats or to get the textures back into Clo3D. And let's just chat about this. So this square here is that one UV square we just exported from the OBJ. You can see as I'm clicking here, it's got all the parts that we have split out from the layers. And as I said, the name for these layers are highly important because they're going to be named, you know, I've named this nylon strap, jacket, front. They're going to be named like that, and you're going to have to find that in your files for when we're connecting it later. Okay, make sure you label it clearly and texture it to your heart's delight. This is what I've come up with, and if you guys want a texturing tutorial, I'm happy to do that, but put it in the comments if you guys want to see anything to do with texturing in the next few videos. So this is ready, right, with all these parts that we've textured here, right? So now we're going to export it. File, Export Textures. You want to make sure everything's ticked here, and I've kept it as PBR metallic roughness here because this is going into a games engine. I usually put it as, or select it as redshift, because a lot of times, where is it? Here. A lot of times I would bring this into Cinema 4D and then I would use redshift, but this time not necessary because it's just going straight into a games engine or into a virtual world. So we can just use PBR metallic roughness. It's up to you. I've chosen PNG 8 bits, and we're going to press export. Once you guys have exported, you should get something like this. A lot of textures from Substance Painter. Now I think I could have actually deselected some of these, like emission or emissive textures I wouldn't have needed. Metallic, not so much either. Actually maybe metallics. Base color, we've got roughness, we've got normal. Okay, probably the only thing I didn't need was emissive, but we want to focus on probably the 3 main ones, which is diffuse, which is the color channel. We want the normal, which will fake the bumps. It will fake the height of some parts of the texture. And the last one is, which did I say? Maybe metallic, like the roughness or metallic. So, you know, those are probably the 3 that I would focus on. But as you can see, there's many of them. And as I said before, the games engines will only accept one UV map. They're not going to accept all of these. Like, there's just no space for that. So what we have to do is actually grab all of these and condense them and create our own version of the UV map. I'm going to show you guys how I did that. These are ones I've created already, so I'll show you guys first and then we can go through them. This is the diffuse, for example. This is the normal map. This is the metallic map. So the way that I did that, let's see. If I get rid of this, delete layer mask. Now this, what you're looking at, is actually, if we go back to here, is this, isn't it? So this is from our OBJ. So all I did, if I find my OBJ, if I open up this texture file that the OBJ has exported, which, you know, when we exported from Clo3D, we ticked that UV unified coordinates PNG. This is it, right? This is what we're going to use as our base. So I've imported this into Photoshop. And the reason why I've done this is that, for example, let me go back to my textures that we exported from Substance Painter. Let's use the diffuse as an example. Okay, I think it's like the easiest thing to choose. So here, let's choose all the base colors. We got one here, one here. Anything that says base color. we can take base color. I'm just holding control as I'm doing this. Base color, base color. Okay, so I have imported all of the base color exports from Substance Painter. They're all here. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this on. So now we're just gonna find what goes to what, and that the reason why we've imported this OBJ here is so that if I turn this off, what we're going to do is grab this magic wand tool, and we are just going to select the colors. Actually, we're going to select the pieces that have the same colors. So I'm going to hold shift, and you can select multiple, just like that. Now this I have forgotten what it's called, so we can always go back to Clay 3D and find out what it's called. Jacket. Okay, this white part is the jacket. Let's find jacket here. Here, jacket front. If we click on this now, with these selected, and if I press this masking button, I can turn this back on now, and maybe turn these off. But as you can see, it has selected these, and that's what we want. So we can move these up now, and let's look at the next one. So we can turn this off, for example, go back to here. Let's do the trousers. So we're still on the magic wand tool here. Click here, hold shift, select all. Okay, let's find trousers. So we've got nylon strap, default material, trousers here, and press this mask button. Now you're not going to be able to see it until we turn this eye on. So we're going to grab this, move it to the top here, and you can see it's only selected these parts which are for the trousers. Let's do one more, and I think you guys get the idea after that. Let's turn this off. Let's do this section here. Click on the OBJ layer, this PNG from the OBJ, and we're gonna select this. Hold shift to select different parts. Okay, and this is why I color block within Clay 3D, because it's so easy to select the ones that are the same color if they are actually same color and not similar colors. I always choose my colors to be very different from each other so that it's just easy for me to see. So these are that part. Let's go to Clay 3D. What is that called? Top. These ones are called top. So let's find top. Top here. Okay. And now we just press the mask button here. Now if I turn this on, and if I bring this layer up, now you can see. And now I'm gonna do this for the rest of the texture, and I will come back once it's done. Okay, cool. So I have masked all of them. Now I've decided not to use these two buckle textures here because they're quite flat. And what I've noticed is that let's go back to Clay 3D. If we can scroll in, this texture here that we're using here is already pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. So I don't want to replace that. And so I'm just keeping that. If we zoom in here, I'm just keeping that. I don't want to replace it, so I could actually delete these two, or I could use them if I change my mind, but I'll just leave them with the eye turned off at the moment. Make sure everything's correctly turned on. Now, this has no background. As you can see, we've got the checkerboard background, which means it's transparent. So what I've decided to do was to add a color so that in case some of the maps aren't aligned perfectly to the edge, they sometimes might leave like a white outline or like a clear outline, not clear, but just a white outline if there is no background. And so I've added this green color to fill in any gaps that might be there, but I think it should be okay. So this is the diffuse map. And what is really cool about this is if you guys wanted to create the normal map or even just like the metallic map, you would do the same thing where you would go to, of course, here where you've exported your Substance Painter textures, select all the normal ones like we did before. We would drag them all in. And if I were to show you with the normal map, let's see here, it's the same thing. And once you've done this one time, so we've done it here, right? What you can do, once you've dragged all of these normal maps in, let's say, for example, originally, if we delete this layer mask, originally, this trousers image, here we go, this trousers image does not have a mask, right? And what we did before what we did before was actually use this. Now you could very well do the same technique and like use the magic wand tool and select them again. If I was on the right layer, that would help to select these, for example. But that takes time. And because we've already done it once with the diffuse channel, we can literally just go to the trousers layer here in the diffuse channel, and we can right click this, the black and white mask, add mask to selection. It will copy that mask, and we can go to trousers, and we can, I think you can just press this mask button here and it'll do it automatically. So what I've done with all the normals is that I would like look at the names. Let's do another one. Let's say if I go to this normal, if I were to get rid of this top one, and if we delete layer mask, here we go, right, this layer mask here, and if I want to go to the diffuse map that we already did with top, let's see, top, click on this black and white mask, right click it, add mask to selection, go to top front but in the normal map, and then we will add a mask, and that is done. Easy. So you can do this for any other channel. So we've got normal channel, we've got the metallic channel, and we've got diffuse. So I've kept it to there, and then all I do at the end, once I've got all these channels ready, is I would export them as a JPEG or as a PNG. And to do that, you just go up to File and press Export As. Now here, you guys are gonna get the options to save as PNG, JPEG, right? And GIF, but we're not using GIF. And so you guys can choose the size, you can choose, of course, what format you save it as and what quality, so that's totally up to you. But once you're happy with it, you're gonna press Export. Just note that some game engines might have a maximum file size or image size of 1000, or I don't know, maybe they can even take up 4K. So this is a place where you can change, of course, the resolution or the image size of your image. And once you're ready, we can press Export. Right, so once you've exported, you would have the images that you just created. So we've got the diffuse, this is the metallic, and this is the normal. But what is good is that all of these are on one image, and that's very important. So we've got these. Now what we are going to do, we're going to bring these back into Clo 3D so that then finally, once we get the textures on, we can finally export it as a GLB or GLTF. Okay, so now we are back in Clo 3D. We can go to the simulation tab. Not that it matters too much, but now we can go into all these textures here, or these layers. For example, jacket. We want to go to, let's see, where would we put it? Texture, basic parameters, texture here. You're gonna click on this, is it a window button, a grid button? I don't know what you call it, but click on it, and we are going to import that image we just created from Photoshop. So this would be your diffuse channel. So we're gonna add the diffuse channel in here. And right now it's not looking that great. This is right now it is tiling. So what you guys want to do, because it's right now the texture mapping is repeat. If you put it to unified, that will sort it out. This is what we want, right? Awesome. And then of course with the jacket, you guys can add, look, this normal map here, there's displacement map here, opacity map, they even got reflection. So you guys can mess with that. Okay, metalness map, which we've got. So I'm gonna go with the normal map first. Click on it. That is it, that's imported. And we're gonna go to metalness. Metalness, which is currently, it looks like it's at 0. So might need to change that, but click on that, that's the black and white one. Maybe you can turn up metalness. Depends how metal you want it to be. And let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So jacket is done. Now we're gonna go to the top. This one already has a color, and this is gonna be an issue. We're gonna have to change the color, but I just wanna show you something before we do that. If you choose a texture, so in property editor, basic parameters, texture, we're gonna put the diffuse channel here. And you're gonna see how it's dark, right? So what you wanna do is go to color, change it back to white. Apply, done. And of course it's doing that weird tiling thing again, so you know what to do. Go to texture mapping up here, instead of repeat we want unified. Easy. And now let's see, let's go to normal. Let's import the normal. Import the normal map, and then we've got metallic. Let's do that as well. So they do have a height map which I haven't exported, but you guys could definitely create one in Photoshop. I think we did export the height from Substance Painter. I need to double check, but I feel like we did. Okay, so that is the second option. So that is the second part done, and we're gonna do that to every single one of these. So just remember guys, if you guys got any colors like this one here, just remember to turn it back to white so that your texture is not gonna be tinted the color that you've chosen here. Okay, we want it back to white. Okay, so I'm gonna get on and finish the rest using the same technique. And this is it fully textured. Now if we check all of these, you can see each texture mapping is unified. Okay, and also all the colors are white as I said, and let's see, yeah, we've got the normals, we've got the metallic. I might have tweaked the roughness, I can't remember if I did, but that is pretty much it. So this is how you get all the textures back into Clo 3D. Now the last thing you guys need to do is export it. So depending what format you need it in, I'm gonna use GLB because that is the format I need to send it as. So we go to File, Export, and then click GLB, and that will do it for you. And just so that you guys can see, this is it in GLB, and this is probably one of many ways you guys can import your 3D asset onto the web, and this is what was shown at Metaverse Fashion Week. So look at it go. It is exactly the same as that, which is great. And it has all the textures embedded, which is exactly what I needed. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. And for you guys who want to get your digital fashion pieces into augmented reality or into these virtual worlds, well, this is how you usually prepare your textures. If this video has helped you guys in some shape or form, then please give it a like because it will help me on the YouTube algorithm. And as always, if you guys got any more suggestions on what you want to see on this channel, please put it in the comments below. But for now, let's stay in touch on my Twitch, on my Patreon, and also on Discord. And I will see you guys in the next video.